It's official. The rumor everyone brushed off as clickbait is real. Jasmine Pineda, one of the most talked about faces of 90 Day Fiancé, has been dropped by TLC after a reported $100,000 lawsuit. No soft fade out, no amicable statement, nothing. One day she's trending for her usual fiery confessionals. The next, her name is tied to court filings, NDAs, and visa speculation. Fans woke up expecting another episode teaser. Instead, they got what looked like the unraveling of an entire franchise thread. Reactions hit within minutes. Twitter feeds turned into an emotional cage match. One side screaming that TLC went too far, the other insisting Jasmine crossed lines that any professional would know to avoid. Reddit threads exploded with theories, screenshots, and side-by-side comparisons of her past interviews. People weren't arguing about storylines anymore, they were arguing about power, who holds it, who loses it, and who deserves sympathy when the curtain drops. Viewers thought the season was messy on screen, but no one expected the real disaster would play out off camera. The story didn't break through official channels, it leaked. Tiny pieces surfaced first through entertainment blogs, each claiming anonymous insiders confirmed a legal dispute, a confidentiality breach, and unauthorized communication with external parties. Translation: somebody allegedly talked when they were supposed to stay silent. The network's reputation depends on controlling every frame and every whisper, so this kind of disobedience isn't treated as drama, it's treated as war. The phrase $100,000 lawsuit ricocheted through gossip accounts. Some thought it was exaggerated PR. Others pointed at TLC's history of strict NDAs and said it makes sense. They've always protected their format like a state secret. Suddenly, Jasmine wasn't the comic relief of reality TV. She was a case study in how far TV empires go to maintain silence behind the scenes. Then came the avalanche. People started quoting alleged court papers floating online, showing TLC accusing Jasmine of disclosing private production details. The chatter grew darker when fans noticed words like immigration, work authorization, and compliance inquiry in leaked snippets. It was no longer just about a breach of contract. It looked like someone had threatened her ability to stay in the country. And that's when the tone of the conversation changed. From gossip to genuine fear. To understand how huge this shock was, rewind 6 months. Jasmine's arc on 90 Day Fiancé had been polarizing but addictive. She fought, she cried, she made unpredictable choices that guaranteed clicks. Love her or roll your eyes at her, everyone watched. She wasn't background noise, she was the pulse of the season. That visibility made her valuable and volatile. Networks love volatility when it sells, but not when it leaks. Some insiders described months of tension between her and production. Long shooting days, creative disagreements, arguments about editing choices. Others claimed she started publicly hinting that reality TV wasn't all real. When a cast member starts pulling at the curtain, the network usually tightens its grip. That's television survival 101. NDAs in this world aren't gentle reminders, they're steel traps. Breaking them, even accidentally, opens you to massive penalties. So a $100,000 lawsuit isn't random. It's a message to everyone else on the payroll. You don't talk, you don't post, you don't hint, or your comfort ends. Fans debated whether Jasmine had been reckless or brave. Some called her a whistleblower, exposing manipulative edits. Others said she was playing victim after biting the hand that fed her. Comment sections turned into digital courtrooms. Everyone became a legal analyst overnight. Through all the noise, one eerie silence stood out. Neither Jasmine nor TLC made a public comment beyond "no statement at this time." In reality TV, silence is heavier than a scandal. It means deals are being drafted or lawyers are preparing to swing. Every minute that passed with no update made the situation feel like a countdown. As speculation over the lawsuit spread, new layers started surfacing. Unconfirmed claims of a sealed evidence folder circulated online, supposedly linked to an internal investigation. Then, gossip blogs picked up on a line buried in one entertainment report: potential involvement of federal immigration authorities. That single phrase ignited panic. Immigration authorities? Fans started connecting it to Jasmine's Panamanian background, asking whether a TV contract could affect a visa holder's status. The idea that a network would communicate with officials shocked casual viewers, but didn't surprise industry veterans. Sometimes they said contracts linked to international work visas are fragile. Alleged misconduct under those visas can trigger reviews. True or not, the rumor was enough to create chaos. Online sympathizers posted messages of support, while conspiracy theories spread faster than official legal updates. Lawyers interviewed on talk shows explained that network contracts often include morality clauses that intertwine with immigration documents. Translation again: if a foreign cast member causes liability, the network protects itself first. Short version: corporate lawyers don't sleep. By now, Jasmine's social media felt like a ghost town. Old videos quietly disappeared, comments closed, posts archived. Fans took screenshots as proof something big was coming. For every quick meme mocking the situation, hundreds of viewers expressed real concern. The words scapegoat, control, and intimidation started trending alongside her name. Viewers weren't arguing about reality TV anymore. They were arguing about justice. And that leads to the question that drives this entire story. Was Jasmine unfairly punished to scare others into obedience? Or did she knowingly break rules that no producer could ignore? TLC's record shows they thrive on tension, but draw firm boundaries around their intellectual property. Yet the framing of this case feels unusually personal. It's being described not as a business dispute, but as a corporate campaign to silence a voice. Some former crew members have whispered, off the record, that making an example of a cast member isn't uncommon. Lawsuits aren't always about winning damages. They're about public control. The fear of consequences keeps the rest of the cast in line. And in this scenario, that control extended far beyond the camera. It allegedly reached into her private life. By the time Insider Blogs wrote their 5th exclusive, the story had gone global. Articles from Latin American entertainment sites raised ethical questions about using immigration as a pressure tool. Commentators compared Jasmine's case to previous reality star meltdowns where networks reacted harshly to leaks. The combination of legal firepower and personal vulnerability created a perfect storm, one that blurred the lines between punishment and persecution. Even those who disliked Jasmine's antics started asking what price anyone should pay for transparency. When a reality show contract controls not only your storyline but your residency status, where does the drama stop and the exploitation begin? And that's where the biggest mystery enters the picture. Reports of hidden documents and a quiet inquiry said to involve immigration officials. Did the network actually pull those strings? Or is this another exaggerated rumor designed to scare every future cast member into silence? Whatever the answer, this story is no longer about one celebrity meltdown. It's about the collision of entertainment power, privacy, and fear. The lawsuit opened a door that both fans and insiders can't stop peeking through. But behind that door, something even more confidential might be waiting. The investigation no one was supposed to know about. And if those alleged documents ever surface, the fallout could shake more than a television franchise. It could change how every foreign reality star contract is written from now on. Before the firing made headlines, there were already fractures spreading quietly across the set. Crew members described the atmosphere as tense, almost hushed, where everyone watched what they said. Jasmine wasn't the kind of person who blended into the background. She filled the room, sometimes with laughter, sometimes with arguments. Those who worked closely with her said she had moments of kindness that could turn into confrontation without warning. It wasn't fake. It was just her. Raw feelings with no filter. That kind of energy makes great television, but it also tests every rule that keeps a production running on schedule. Producers, always chasing ratings, know the value of unpredictability. They feed on it, but also fear it. When reality stars start challenging directors, questioning story arcs, or posting their own behind-the-scenes moments, it threatens the illusion of control. According to insiders, Jasmine was vocal about edits she didn't like and storylines that made her look worse than others. She felt those cuts misrepresented her relationship, turning emotional struggles into pure spectacle. Behind closed doors, she reportedly confronted production staff, asking why her narrative was built around breakdowns when she had agreed to show growth. Fans saw entertainment, but those on the set saw something closer to exhaustion. People who were there say both sides misread each other. Jasmine thought she was negotiating, trying to protect her image and dignity. The producers interpreted it as attitude, someone challenging authority. Once that label sticks, it's hard to shake. Her behavior started being monitored more strictly, her interviews rehearsed more tightly, and every outburst added a new note to an internal file. A quiet paper trail of concerns. In corporate terms, that's the first stage of isolation. During the middle of filming, strange rumors started circulating among crew about confidentiality breaches. Someone had allegedly been talking with bloggers. Nothing was proven, but suspicion travels fast in environments where everyone signs NDAs thicker than phone books. You could feel the paranoia through whispered conversations at lunch tables. People stopped sharing details even with colleagues they had worked with for years. Jasmine, according to those same reports, began to feel surrounded. Friends said she became anxious about surveillance, worried calls were being recorded or messages misinterpreted. When a person's livelihood depends on image management, that constant pressure can blur reality. A single sentence said in frustration can later show up on an online forum as explosive gossip. And once it's out there, no amount of clarification can bring trust back. Then, a new twist appeared. Leaked mentions of an old arrest record that was supposedly sealed. None of the major outlets could verify it, but the damage was instant. The term unverified barely mattered to readers. The idea alone was enough to tint every discussion about her credibility. Viewers who had once defended her started wondering who was dropping such specific details and why. Leaks like that don't come from random strangers. They come from people with access. Some analysts pointed out how convenient the timing was. Leaks surfaced right as disagreements with producers were heating up. Coincidence or strategy? Either way, it deepened the fracture between Jasmine and the network. Publicly, she stayed quiet, but those close to her described a private spiral. Sleepless nights, endless calls with advisors, the growing sense that this battle wasn't about one mistake, but about reasserting control over her as a brand. Reality TV is built on controlled chaos, and networks have learned to master that balance. They want authenticity, but only on their terms. When things start going off script, they use a silent arsenal, tighter filming restrictions, selective editing, and quiet legal reminders sent through management. Sources familiar with TLC's operations say the company works systematically. If a cast member becomes difficult, their appearances get trimmed, scenes reshuffled, press access reduced. It's not overt punishment. It's gradual erasure. The audience doesn't even notice the fade until the person is gone. Jasmine, though, wasn't fading quietly. Her passion for attention and fairness kept clashing with corporate order. Some crew members reportedly admired her bluntness, even if it scared them. Others said shooting days turned into emotional standoffs. Wait times grew, tempers flared, deadlines slipped. Each incident added weight to the unofficial narrative that Jasmine had become unmanageable. At the same time, protective voices inside production insisted she was being misunderstood. They said she cared about her story being genuine, that she was reacting to how fame distorted her personal life. Fame without control can feel like living under interrogation lights. Every tear becomes a talking point, every laugh a meme. For someone whose identity is constantly being voted on by strangers, staying calm isn't easy. Behind the drama is a human being trying to survive a system built to commodify emotion. Still, the network couldn't risk appearing weak about confidentiality. NDAs aren't simply about secrecy. They're financial shields. Spoiled storylines mean fewer viewers, fewer ad dollars, and lawsuits from sponsors. TLC's legal team views every leak through that lens. From their side, enforcing penalties isn't cruelty, it's protecting millions in investment. They would argue that no one forced Jasmine to sign. Every rule was in black and white. Through that frame, the lawsuit was business, not personal. But business decisions often have personal consequences. As contracts stiffened, Jasmine's screen time reportedly dropped while monitoring increased. Some of the newer crew said filming became tense whenever she entered a room. Even small disagreements over lighting or wardrobe became arguments about respect. Each shoot turned into a test of patience. Viewers only saw edited smiles. Backstage, people were burned out on both sides. Then came the third-party communication accusation. Rumor has it she spoke to someone outside of approved channels, maybe venting frustration. The specifics remain unclear, but it was serious enough to trigger internal emails about potential breaches. Once that warning bell rings, corporate motion doesn't stop. Legal departments start reviewing contracts, checking messages, and pulling archives for proof. At this point, Jasmine's anxiety reportedly spiked. Friends said she started double-checking every email. She deleted personal photos from shared drives. She suspected surveillance, whether real or imagined. A few sympathetic coworkers hinted they felt production was waiting for her to misstep so they could act decisively. Nobody wanted to be caught in the crossfire, so sympathy stayed private and silence spread wider. It's strange how quiet control feels. No shouting, no threats, just the cold politeness of corporate distance. Then, as if the atmosphere wasn't already frayed, entertainment pages began mentioning that infamous, unverified arrest detail again. No confirmation, no official statement, but the repetition alone gave it more power. For the public, rumor often outweighs facts. Once that label of legal trouble attaches itself, everything else, every weird facial expression, every half sentence looks suspicious. Legal advisors interviewed later said such leaks often originate from document hunters who scour databases for similar names, hoping a match sticks. Sometimes it's error, sometimes strategic misinformation. But in show business, where narrative equals profit, anything that paints someone as unstable makes the company's enforcement look justified. Inside TLC's orbit, the decision must have solidified. Limit her access, consult lawyers, prepare for formal action. Networks are risk-averse. They don't gamble with perception. A headline about a contract dispute is manageable. A headline linking your show to unsolved legal or immigration issues is not. Crew who interacted with Jasmine near the end said she seemed caught between defiance and fatigue. She wanted to tell her side, but feared worsening her situation. The stress reportedly affected filming quality. Even small production tasks required extra coordination because nobody wanted misinterpretations recorded. Some scenes were cut before post-production to avoid legal exposure. To her fans, none of this was visible. They only noticed fewer appearances, less personality, and eventually, absence. Online theories filled that vacuum instantly. Viewers speculated about health issues or relationship drama. Only later did news of the lawsuit drop. Behind every headline of contract violation lies months of internal documentation, emotional breakdowns, and decisions made by people trying to protect their paychecks. It's not glamorous. It's mechanical. What started as entertainment turned into legal procedure. Still, one question nagged both audiences and insiders. Why was there a sudden mention of authorities outside the entertainment world getting involved? Rumors started suggesting the legal dispute had crossed company lines into something much more serious. Whispers of compliance checks surfaced. People close to production hinted about calls from external offices, though nothing official confirmed it. The whispers sounded absurd at first. Why would a TV dispute raise questions about someone's visa? Yet the phrase kept appearing in leak after leak, and that's the point where curiosity turned to alarm. Because if immigration scrutiny was entering the picture, this wasn't just a story about fame anymore. It was about survival. The whisper about immigration started as background noise. Then suddenly, it was the only sound anyone could hear. At first, fans laughed it off. Another exaggerated headline meant to spike engagement. But when multiple insiders repeated the same phrase, visa compliance inquiry, it stopped being gossip and became panic. Anyone who's ever dealt with paperwork tied to citizenship knew how serious it sounded. You can ignore online hate. You cannot ignore government involvement. For a non-American cast member, every dream opportunity runs through a strict gate, the work visa. It's a permission slip that runs on trust. The network sponsors it, handles legal filings, and in exchange, the cast member has to follow every contract clause like scripture. If those terms are broken, intentionally or not, the sponsoring employer can withdraw support, which automatically sends the visa into review. Ready or not, bureaucracy takes over. Even if the review leads nowhere, the fear is enough to freeze a person's whole life. Flights canceled. Plans stopped. Every phone buzz feels like a potential update from lawyers. That's the cage rumor built for Jasmine. People close to her said she became obsessed with checking mail. Every piece of correspondence looked like doom. A rumor does not need proof to destroy peace of mind. It only needs repetition. When entertainment journalists started quoting unnamed government contacts, saying TLC had inquired about the status of employment eligibility, things escalated. The official line was silence. No confirmation, no denial. But the ambiguity was firewood for content creators hungry to interpret it. YouTube panels, Reddit boards, gossip accounts, everyone claimed to have a source who knew whether an investigation existed. This is where power shifts invisibly. The network never needs to confirm that it alerted authorities. The rumor itself becomes a form of control. The suggestion that they could push a file toward investigators keeps everyone compliant. It's an old corporate strategy. Manage behavior through fear, not force, especially when the person under review relies on you for legal stay. Fans split sharply down the middle. One part of the audience saw it as a witch hunt funded by ratings greed. They posted support threads arguing that no job should hold someone's residency status hostage. The other side framed it as basic accountability. If she violated contracts tied to her visa, that's her responsibility. What both sides missed amid the noise was nuance. In the entertainment world, especially reality TV, contracts are not equal partnerships. They're survival codes. The show owns the footage, the likeness, the narrative. The person on camera trades a slice of privacy for exposure, but when the show ends, exposure doesn't pay legal fees. By the time fans started arguing about morality, Jasmine was reportedly living under silence orders. People close to her described an eerie period where she spoke carefully, avoided cameras, and told even friends that lawyers had advised full quiet. That silence fed more speculation. Was she hiding guilt? Or was she protecting herself from retaliation? Her social media activity, once impulsive, turned into sterile reposts of unrelated content. No captions, no commentary. Each post looked less like a message and more like a placeholder saying, "I'm here, but I can't talk." Analysts explained that even an unverified complaint from a sponsoring company can trigger checks. It doesn't mean deportation, but it creates risk, and that risk is emotional prison. People online used words like deportation too casually, unaware of how traumatic that threat feels when your name is trending with it. One immigration attorney interviewed for a talk segment described it clearly. In these scenarios, perception is punishment. Even if no government official lifts a finger, the stress alone can break a person down. Jasmine's supporters tried launching hashtags to push back against what they saw as corporate bullying. Those campaigns picked up traction, but were buried under newer headlines linking old legal issues to her case. It became a cycle. Outrage, distraction, repeat. At the same time, critics questioned the sudden sympathy. They reminded others that contracts aren't optional guidelines. They argued that violating an NDA could jeopardize jobs for dozens of behind-the-scenes employees. There was truth there, too. A single uncontrolled leak can unravel months of production work and cost a network millions. To them, the visa story looked like the fair outcome of professional misconduct, not manipulation. Reality usually lived somewhere between both extremes, a system built on mutual dependence that can flip into a power imbalance without warning. For someone like Jasmine, reputation and permission to work were now chained together. It's the quiet cruelty of fame. The spotlight always looks warm until it burns the skin. Publicly, the network coasted on crisis silence. But internally, several entertainment reporters suggested TLC's legal team was reviewing travel histories and filing compliance paperwork that would appear responsible on record. It's a double win for them. It covers liability while feeding the narrative that they're the organized adult in a chaotic partnership. Whether that was strategy or coincidence, the effect was the same. TLC looked disciplined. Jasmine looked unstable. The gossip economy fed on every twist. Video creators uploaded timelines, cross-referencing tweets, lawyer statements, and screenshots of deleted posts. Each analysis racked up hundreds of thousands of views. Anxiety became monetized content. Fans were unknowingly participating in the economy that kept both TLC and the rumor mill alive. Watch time, ad revenue, engagement, all climbing because someone might be losing her residency. Social commentary pieces started appearing about how reality TV converts human suffering into serial entertainment. Even mistakes that ruin lives become episodes in an infinite story loop. Viewers don't switch channels, they refresh feeds. Inside that machinery, someone like Jasmine becomes a recurring character, whether she wants to or not. When pain turns into monetizable content, there's no difference between sympathy and marketing. A few former reality TV participants came forward anonymously, stating that immigration leverage is not unheard of. According to them, it's quietly built into the power dynamic. Networks never need to make threats. The paperwork itself is pressure. Most international cast members keep perfect compliance because the stakes are too high to argue. It's fear disguised as opportunity. Jasmine's name kept trending, which ironically gave the network free publicity even as it distanced itself from her. Fans trying to defend her made the show more visible. The more people discussed the alleged cruelty of the system, the more they fed that same system's algorithms. It's a trap almost impossible to escape once caught. As weeks passed, new exclusives appeared on gossip channels claiming to reveal internal memos. Some said TLC had already withdrawn sponsorship. Others insisted the visa was safe. Each post contradicted the last, but all kept attention locked on the same conflict. Whether she was safe or not no longer mattered. What mattered was that people were watching. To the casual viewer, this looked like meltdown for profit. To those paying closer attention, it looked like corporate chess. Each move calculated to keep control over perception, public sympathy, and internal authority. In quiet moments, those around Jasmine reportedly described a woman terrified to make a wrong move. Every comment could be twisted, every post analyzed for tone. Living under that suspicion turns daily life into a minefield. Misplace a joke and it becomes evidence. Skip an appointment and it becomes non-compliance. Supporters online compared her silence to previous cast members who vanished under similar tension, hinting at systematic tactics to enforce discipline through threat rather than communication. Whether true or exaggerated, those comparisons made fans revisit the same question. What counts as fair treatment when contracts hold power over freedom itself? A leak can break trust. Fear can break a person. But when both operate together, the line between discipline and manipulation blurs beyond repair. As days turned into weeks with no official statement, even journalists started admitting fatigue. Information was thin, motives were murky, and consequences were terrifyingly real. Each new headline repackaged the same uncertainty with fresh adjectives. And in every retelling, one haunting question grew louder. Was this a textbook legal strategy to preserve corporate control, or was it something more personal? An act of retaliation dressed up as professionalism? In the universe of reality TV, contracts rule everything. The drama might look spontaneous, but the real storylines are written in legal language long before the cameras roll. Every tier, every argument, every surprise proposal sits neatly under a clause somewhere. To viewers, it's chaos. To executives, it's choreography. Behind all that glitter and confessionals lies one goal: control. Control isn't just about editing, it's about ownership of the story, the image, the sound bites, even the silence. Cast members sign NDAs so strict they read more like international treaties. These documents aren't designed to be understood. They're designed to be obeyed. The network wants to eliminate leaks that could ruin pacing or advertising deals. What they call brand consistency is often a polite way to say, you speak when we allow. Reality TV doesn't run on authenticity. It runs on managed emotion. Every production company has its methods, but large franchises like 90 Day Fiancé operate on industrial discipline. There are clauses about morality, publicity, disclosure, social media conduct, and even relationship boundaries. Fail to follow any of them, and suddenly it's not entertainment, it's litigation. Most viewers never realize that their favorite arguments are legally engineered environments where spontaneity is measured in seconds, and lawyers are always a phone call away. When controversy erupts, these networks move like chess players, calculated, calm, deliberate. They decide when to speak, what to reveal, and who takes the blame. One classic maneuver is selective leaking. Corporate PR never calls it that, of course. They say clarifying the narrative, but entertainment reporters know the rhythm. A scandal fuels discussion. A subtle leak redirects it. If the public starts criticizing the company, you drop a new thread hinting at the star's misbehavior. If the star looks sympathetic, you release a reminder of contractual protocol. It's not personal, it's public relations algorithms in motion. Previous cases show the formula works. When a cast member from a dating reality show accused producers of manipulation a few years ago, internal sources conveniently appeared across multiple outlets emphasizing contract terms and unprofessional conduct. No names, no proof, just tone. The audience slowly stopped questioning production ethics and started questioning the star's credibility. Problem solved. In television, silence is the defense. Whisper campaigns are the offense. So when TLC faced uproar over how it handled Jasmine's situation, seasoned insiders weren't surprised to see patterns repeating. The network knew what to protect wasn't one person or even one show. It was the larger brand. That brand promises viewers emotional spectacle that feels safe to consume. The formula depends on viewers trusting the production more than they trust the cast. Any suggestion that the network mistreats people threatens that trust. So, brand protection becomes a reflex, not a strategy. From a legal standpoint, brand protection covers everything, preventing leaks, shaping headlines, avoiding language that implies fault. It's less about fixing problems and more about making sure problems don't stain future seasons. You can fight an individual battle with a lawsuit. You win the long game through reputation management. That's why network statements are always vague and dry. We take allegations seriously. We are reviewing our contractual obligations. We maintain the highest standards of professionalism. These phrases don't say anything, but they sound responsible. Their real message is don't look too close. Everything is under control. Behind that facade, the legal machinery works over time. Moral clauses, once used to disqualify performers for actual crimes, have grown into multi-purpose shields letting companies discipline anyone who causes public embarrassment. The definition of embarrassment, conveniently, is whatever the studio decides. It might mean a leaked screenshot, a fight at a public event, or one half-sentence hinting that editing was unfair. People following Jasmine's case started asking bigger questions. If a company can use moral clauses to silence a contract dispute, who owns the truth? If they can threaten visa scrutiny or reputation collapse, is that discipline or coercion? Everyday viewers suddenly found themselves arguing the ethics of power imbalance while watching reruns of the same show. Meanwhile, other reality TV alumni chimed in with familiar stories. One said production insisted their breakup scene be filmed 3 times because the first 2 didn't look sad enough. Another claimed they were fined for missing a single promo post on Instagram. Each detail reminded the public that behind reality entertainment lies bureaucracy as relentless as any corporate office. When your heartbreak becomes an intellectual property, love isn't the only thing negotiated. Humor popped up too, because fans cope through jokes. Memes of signing NDAs like buying your soul spread online. Someone joked that TLC's real show should be called 90 Clauses Later. Beneath the laughter was a sharper understanding. The chaos consumers enjoy is carefully packaged, edited and enforced through documents that few cast members fully read. Industry analysts saw the cycle play out again. Controversy equals attention. Attention equals engagement. Engagement drives profits. Even public criticism becomes currency, as long as audiences keep watching. The network plays the long game. Take a short reputational hit today to reinforce control tomorrow. Each move fit perfectly on the corporate chessboard. Start with plausible deniability. Add silence from all spokespersons. Send sources to entertainment journalists. Let fans devour each other with debates. Then, when tempers cool, drop a new trailer for the next spin-off. The narrative resets itself, and the outrage loop begins anew. Inside meetings, executives probably frame these maneuvers as protecting creative integrity. The truth is simpler. They protect power. Reality shows function because the people on screen have less leverage than the people editing them. The contract system ensures that even public humiliation remains profitable. If the cast member rises too far above that control, you reroute the spotlight, introduce a new scandal, shift attention just in time. The machine doesn't need villains or victims. It needs continuing storylines. And yet the cold efficiency of the system can't hide the human cost. Stars caught in these loops often describe similar patterns: sleepless nights, therapy sessions, friends ghosting them out of fear of speaking publicly. The contracts were written to protect corporate entities from liability, but they also isolate individuals until compliance becomes the only calm option left. TLC's version of brand protection mirrors standard industry code. But fans expect a network that markets family drama to act less like a hedge fund. People project empathy onto the brand because its shows center on relationships. So when allegations of corporate intimidation surface, the backlash feels almost personal. It's not just a business decision, it's betrayal from a company viewers invited into their homes every week. This emotional connection is why the franchise's every legal move gets dissected. When the public learned about internal lawyers possibly communicating with outside authorities, the term reputation management began sounding more like damage. Control. Viewers started noticing how every official comment subtly reframed Jasmine as a liability rather than a person under stress. Humor returned again to fill the moral vacuum. Late-night comedians riffed about NDAs with the line, "Even Siri doesn't listen this carefully." The jokes created relief, but also awareness. Behind each laugh was someone realizing how far corporate storytelling reaches, beyond screens, into lives. Still, the company's precision deserves respect in a strange way. To manage millions of viewers and dozens of volatile personalities, you need order. You need contracts, PR timing, and consistency. Whether you call it professionalism or domination depends on where you're standing. Some people see network enforcement as ethical boundaries keeping chaos watchable. Others see it as corporate censorship hiding mistreatment. Both descriptions fit, depending on the episode you're watching. The audience continued to debate. Was the tightening of control a necessary correction or an overreaction? Did TLC's lawyers act to prevent further losses, or did they target Jasmine to rebuild authority? No definitive proof existed publicly. But then a new claim started circulating among journalists, one that hinted at a shift from defense to offense. According to a reporter who spoke to multiple anonymous staff members, a string of internal emails had surfaced suggesting the legal team discussed an escalation protocol. The phrase was vague but alarming. Escalation of what? Legal pursuit? PR exposure? Immigration outreach? No one outside the office knew. What mattered was the implication that this wasn't spontaneous chaos. It was deliberate strategy. And if those messages were real, they proved something unsettling. The next chapter in Jasmine's crisis might not have been reaction at all, but premeditation. When the first screenshots started floating around, nobody on set knew whether to laugh or hide. The images looked rough, blurred copies of text threads supposedly between mid-level producers. Maybe fake, maybe real. In the shaky nightlight of the entertainment world, no one could tell. What mattered was their impact, the sense that private conversations had spilled out of email inboxes and straight onto gossip pages. The leaks didn't need to be confirmed to feel dangerous. They only had to exist. Suddenly, every crew member was second-guessing who had access to what. Editors avoided small talk. Production assistants stopped messaging in group chats. Security badges were checked obsessively. Rumors filled the silence faster than facts could. Some people whispered that a former employee had copied correspondence before leaving. Others blamed hackers or disgruntled insiders out to embarrass the company. Whichever story you believed, the outcome was the same. Trust evaporated. Jasmine's name appeared in the screenshots mostly as shorthand. Contain J. Manage J's narrative. Escalate if breach confirmed. The wording wasn't enough to prove guilt or innocence, but the tone suggested cold precision. Fans seized on those fragments and turned them into evidence of conspiracy. They circulated the files across social platforms, tracing timestamps, decoding abbreviations, building entire storylines from single lines of text. Some claimed to find proof that TLC had planned its reaction weeks ahead of the supposed breach. The network said nothing, which made everyone sure something was wrong. On set, the mood grew claustrophobic. Staff avoided eye contact with journalists outside trailers. Crew members who once posted lunch selfies now left their phones in cars. There were whispers that phone logs were being reviewed. Even those who had nothing to hide felt watched, because watching had become company policy. Human resources demanded re-signing of confidentiality forms. Lawyers reminded everyone of liability if they spoke to media. The workplace changed from a filming environment into a quiet panic lab. People who'd built friendships during earlier seasons avoided Jasmine completely. Some were afraid proximity alone could raise suspicion. Others pitied her, but couldn't risk being seen sympathizing. She had become the ghost everyone saw but pretended not to. To the online world, she was either the rebel who defied manipulation or the problem child who brought chaos. Inside that building, she was mostly an absence shadowing every meeting. Suspicion became the new soundtrack of production. Meanwhile, the outside audience devoured the leaks like serialized fiction. YouTubers uploaded frame-by-frame breakdowns of supposed internal memos. Reddit threads mapped the timeline as if solving a crime. Memes mocked executives as secret agents running surveillance squads, jokes that probably hit too close for comfort. Every fresh rumor became currency. Influencers with commentary channels earned ad revenue analyzing messages that might never have existed. The scandal metastasized into content. For Jasmine, that meant 2 layers of exposure: the real investigation unfolding privately and the public dissection unfolding online. Friends said she stopped reading comments after realizing each sympathetic post got followed by a flood of trolling. Even neutral news coverage blurred her identity into shorthand: the reality star under fire. Once a brand attaches you to its controversy, your actual name becomes secondary to your utility in headlines. Psychologically, paranoia works quickly when you're already tired. Jasmine began behaving like someone expecting ambush. According to those near her, she checked locks repeatedly, read and reread legal documents, and avoided phone calls. Every new ping felt like another threat waiting to open. It's the same pattern researchers describe when people lose control of their narratives. Hypervigilance replaces reason. She wasn't crazy. She was reacting logically to a system designed to keep her uncertain. Litigation is expensive by design. Corporations know most individuals won't fight long trials. Legal pressure alone can function as punishment, even if they never reach court. The mere possibility of depositions drains savings, focus, and time. In Jasmine's case, lawyers representing the network allegedly sent reminders of financial consequences should the breach be proven. She hadn't been convicted of anything, but she already lived like someone serving a sentence. Fans close to her story tried to help by pushing supportive hashtags. Yet the louder they shouted, the stranger things got. Some hashtags trended, attracting trolls who flooded threads with fake legal updates. Each wave of misinformation started distracting from her defense and pushed the narrative back toward entertainment. Outrage became self-sustaining. Fandom had turned into both armor and weapon. Supporters unintentionally amplified the controversy every time they defended her. Detractors used the same posts as proof she was unstable. View counts soared. Advertisers bought space beside recaps dissecting her anxiety. The scandal turned profitable for everyone except the person experiencing it. That's the modern entertainment loop. Even empathy earns revenue clicks. Reporters told stories of filming days that felt heavy with dread. People whispered about colleagues getting called for compliance interviews. Others found their shifts cut after being caught chatting with bloggers. The paranoia wasn't abstract, it had consequences. Some resigned quietly, unwilling to risk being dragged into legal crossfire. Those who stayed followed stricter scripts than ever. Humor on set died first. Then came privacy. The leaked messages also revealed something subtle. Phrases like control narrative leak risk and prepare escalation options hinted at planning beyond damage repair. Commentators debated whether this meant formal discussions of potential media retaliation. To corporate defenders, that reflected due diligence, standard legal foresight. To critics, it suggested premeditated intimidation masquerading as professionalism. Amid the storm, Jasmine's personal life began shrinking. She limited public outings, moved between temporary apartments, and stopped appearing in group photos. Paparazzi shots of her looking anxious started circulating, described with words like evasive or secretive. Nobody stopped to consider that isolation was protective, not suspicious. When the world comments on every move, stillness becomes the only safety. Those around her described a strange contradiction. She was both overexposed and invisible. Everyone talked about her, but she couldn't safely talk back. Legal advisors urged distance. Family back home worried, but couldn't offer real solutions across borders. Each day without communication fed larger conspiracies about what she might be hiding. The psychological weight reached fans as well. Viewers began writing essays about celebrity trauma and corporate power structures. Others mocked those essays as melodramatic. The internet's attention span split into factions, some treating her as warning, others as punchline. It's hard to remember that all this started from a show about love and visas. Within that irony lived the heart of the problem. Entertainment companies depend on blurring lines between scripted tension and real suffering. The damages aren't visible. They appear as exhaustion, canceled friendships, panic checking of court sites. Long before any verdict, the accused pay in loneliness. Professionals call it reputational freeze. The moment no one hires you because they don't want the noise attached to your name. For corporations, though, the deterrent effect is worth it. Future cast members see this chaos and quietly vow never to challenge authority. That silence feeds the cycle. The lawsuit doesn't have to succeed in court to succeed in purpose. It teaches obedience. And yet, behind every strategic filing and PR statement, there remains the human equation. Someone still has to wake up under headlines claiming they might be deported. Someone still scrolls through anonymous strangers, declaring they deserve it. Whether those rumors are real or fabricated, the fear feels the same. Because now, there were whispers of something even colder, claims that planned deportation checks had been discussed inside corporate corridors. Nobody could prove it. But once a rumor like that surfaces, proof becomes irrelevant. The idea alone triggers panic powerful enough to rewrite the storyline. Was this meticulous procedure or vindictive payback dressed as paperwork? The answer, for now, hides in documents still unseen, and in the growing silence of everyone afraid to ask. The show had stopped filming months ago, but online it felt like the season never ended. Every platform was running its own version of the spin-off. Jasmine versus TLC, who's the real villain? Clips, reels, thumbnails. You could scroll for hours and find 10 different narrators telling the same incident in 10 opposite ways. The internet had turned a private legal mess into a choose-your-own adventure of outrage. On TikTok, amateur sleuths made timelines that looked like true crime documentaries. Reddit dug through old interviews searching for hidden signs. Twitter invented a whole new sport, live time. Moral judging, rating every update on a scale from 1 to cancel her already. Even grandma's Facebook groups jumped in, debating the lawsuit between posts about cat memes and casserole recipes. When fandom becomes a courtroom, the verdict changes every hour. For Jasmine's supporters, she symbolized every underdog who dared to question corporate power. They saw a woman standing against a system that scripted its feelings for profit. They pointed at leaked messages as proof the network planned her downfall. If this could happen to her, it could happen to anyone, they said, ignoring that most people don't star in primetime television from another country. Her critics, meanwhile, viewed the same leaks as evidence she couldn't follow rules. They saw her as a chaos engine who'd been given too many chances. One viral comment summed up their view: "She broke the contract. The contract broke her. Balance." It wasn't empathy, but it was poetic enough to trend. Influencers capitalized on the divide. Commentary channels turned every rumor into a revenue opportunity. A single live stream could pull in tens of thousands of viewers dissecting which side's lawyers had the stronger case, none of them lawyers, all of them confident. Some compared Jasmine's case to pop culture feuds, others framed it as a feminism debate. Serious topics turned into thumbnails with exaggerated faces and red arrows. Viewers clicked in outrage, stayed for sarcasm, and left convinced they were doing research. What made it fascinating was how personal the arguments felt. Viewers defended or attacked Jasmine like she was a friend who needed advice, not a stranger on a screen. Psychologists call that parasocial attachment, one-way intimacy fed by constant exposure. It's sweet when fans celebrate milestones. It's psychological TNT when a crisis hits. The internet doesn't wait for evidence. It picks a team and demands the ending match its bias. Hashtags multiplied. Justice for Jasmine trended, countered by non-protect the crew. Someone even started Nandagate as parody, but parody blurred into sincerity. TikTok clips stitched past footage of Jasmine laughing with speculative voiceovers, claiming to decode the exact moment she plotted revenge. It was absurd, brilliant, and profitable all at once. Meanwhile, small creators who usually review cosmetics or travel vlogs pivoted entirely to Jasmine updates. It made sense. Algorithms reward controversy more than creativity. If your video mentioned the case, your engagement spiked. Suddenly, everyone had an opinion, and opinions became commodities. The digital economy fed on moral outrage, chewing up nuance for snack-sized takes. Viewers who tried to stay neutral got whiplash. Every time new proof arrived, an equally detailed rebuttal followed. One moment fans believed the deportation rumor. The next, a lawyer on Twitter explained why it was impossible. Then another account leaked new text messages proving the opposite. The internet's obsession with evidence screenshots made rumor look scientific. Charts, arrows, timelines, it all felt credible until you asked where the data came from. Usually someone's cousin's coworker. Even mainstream outlets caught the fever. Morning talk shows invited entertainment experts to summarize TikTok updates. Print magazines published dramatic cover lines like reality star or reality victim. News anchors slipped hashtags into scripts as if speaking meme language could make them relevant. Journalism had turned participatory. Everyone wanted a turn being the narrator. Through it all, Jasmine herself remained silent. That quiet only fueled the pyre. Fans begged for a statement. Detractors said silence meant guilt. People read meanings into emojis she liked 3 years ago. When one of her friends posted a vacation picture, conspiracy pages decided the location hinted at a secret legal meeting. The longer she stayed quiet, the louder they got. Every second of silence became another episode in the crowd-written season. Influencers also started monetizing empathy. "We're praying for her," they'd say at the start of videos before running mid-roll ads. The combination of compassion and click-through rate blurred sincerity to the point of comedy. Comment sections turned into theology debates. Who cared more? Who sounded genuine? Who was using pain as promo? It wasn't all shallow, though. Some creators produced thoughtful critiques about how corporate systems exploit both stars and viewers. They reminded followers that fandom outrage keeps the ratings machine alive. By watching, sharing, arguing, everyone participates in the same cycle that burned Jasmine out. Those pieces went viral too, ironically proving the point. They monetized reflection on monetization. Everywhere you looked, people demanded absolutes. Was she victim or manipulator? Was TLC defending policies or punishing rebellion? The truth, as always, lived in between, and the middle was the one place no one wanted to stand. Neutrality doesn't trend. As the hysteria expanded, new accounts claimed to share verified court updates. Some were credible journalists, others were pure invention. What kept them indistinguishable was design. Same fonts, same urgent tone, same foregrounded screenshots. Attention became the only currency. Once your thumbnail captured audience rage, accuracy no longer mattered. Imagine living inside that circus while being the main attraction. Every rumor reshapes the script of your life, and you can't correct it without risking more lawsuits. Friends stop checking in because they don't want their texts quoted online. Every reflection of your face feels owned by someone else's opinion. That's the reality TV aftermath nobody signs up for. On social media, you don't lose control of your narrative. You lease it to the loudest bidder. The war for public opinion even split family members of other castmates. Some publicly defended TLC out of loyalty to paychecks. Others sided with Jasmine, worried the same could happen to them. Their feuds created subplots that fed more fan gossip, which in turn refueled the original story. It was endless recursion, drama about the drama about the drama. By now, attention had turned from, "Is she at fault?" to "When will we know?" Entertainment outlets teased upcoming court documents, though no one confirmed a filing date. The uncertainty kept viewers addicted. Every post ended with the same promise: major showdown coming soon, and maybe that's why the noise never fully faded. People had built emotional investment into a conclusion that didn't exist yet. The potential of a courtroom confrontation acted like a cliffhanger none of them could resist. What would happen if Jasmine finally faced TLC's legal team in front of judges instead of cameras? Would evidence end the debate, or would the spectacle only restart it on a new platform? The world waited for that episode to drop, not realizing real life doesn't come with a season finale. Court talk doesn't explode like tabloid headlines. It's slower, quieter, almost boring, until you realize boredom is the weapon. By the time news sites announced formal filings in progress, the storm outside had faded just enough for lawyers to move in. They thrive in stillness. Where fans see moral struggle, attorneys see paperwork strategy. Who blinks first? Who spends more? Who leaks less? At its core, the NDA sits like the holy book of the entertainment world. Every person who steps into production signs one. The clause is simple on the surface. Don't disclose, don't discuss, don't disrupt. But enforcement is where art meets intimidation. Breach it, even accidentally, and the studio can demand damages, void your compensation, or tie you down in discovery until you cave. 90% of issues never see trial because exhaustion does the job. Industry veterans say these lawsuits are rarely about truth. They're about leverage. One entertainment lawyer, in a candid podcast interview about celebrity disputes, called NDAs a velvet noose, soft at first, tight when needed. The phrase stuck. That's how it works. Create a contract that feels routine, then pull when reputation or ratings require tension release. From the outside, it looks like justice. From the inside, it feels like control.